live from New York. It's a show that's on day 2 of the Eagles championship reign. How's it feel? Better than yesterday? You feeling okay?
It's basketball season. What are we leading the show with?
We're leading the show with Luka, but then the rest of the show is questioning Mahomes' legacy, considering he's played one of the worst games in Super Bowl history.
I had to dig into all.
He does not sound like a Mahomes guy.
And by the way, it's not even
Mahomes deserves our honesty.
That's fine, but it's not even a bottom 5 game in Super Bowl history. It's not even a bottom 3 game by legendary quarterback in Super Bowl history. By any measure. I don't think you really spent time digging.
Elway has a few of them.
Elway's got a bunch of them. Peyton's got one.
Disagree.
Next Gen Stats doesn't go into the archives.
Sponsored by AWS?
It doesn't, buddy. Next Gen Stats for the last 8 years.
It was on par with Sam Darnold's IC Ghost game. We start with Luka's intro. Literally introduced last as LeBron gave him the honorary anchor spot. Doncic was on a minutes restriction, but did put up 14 points. For the surging Lakers, who have won 10 of their last 11, are now in 4th place.
He should have said, well, the trade cost me $100 million. I know you got money to burn, LeBron.
Do you believe this team can contend?
You know what? Yes. I think they are contenders, all right? I think there's my 3 top contenders in the West, Oklahoma City, Denver, which is starting to play well. They've won 7 straight. I think they've gone 19-6, so they're getting. Jamal Murray started slow.
Who could have seen a slow Jamal Murray start coming?
And now he's been playing great the last couple months, so they're getting their thing going. But OKC, Denver, and the Lakers.
Yep.
I had 2 main questions when this trade was made. How would Luka and LeBron coexist on the floor? LeBron has gotten so much better, though, at playing off the ball, that last night was not a problem. And he was on the ball a lot. In fact, Luka was really off the ball last night a lot. I think that will change because Luka's just not as effective off the ball as LeBron is. So I think as time goes on, Luka will have the ball in his hands more. But I actually think last night he was 5 for 14, 1 for 7 from 3. I think Luka. I think some of that was rust, but some of it was also just not being in rhythm because he's used to having the ball in his hands a lot more.
Yeah. Go ahead,
so sorry. I think. But I also think, obviously, Austin Reeves is a baller now. I mean, he had 45 the other night when LeBron didn't play in a win. So he's playing well. But Jackson Hayes, Rui Hachimura, all their role players are going to get such easy looks because you got 2 guys that consistently draw attention from the defense. And they're both great passers and willing passers. So I think that's going to work. And then the defense was a big concern of mine, but you mentioned they've gone 10-1. Check this graphic. I don't know what to credit it to. Anthony Davis only played 5 of these 11 games, but they've been the best defense in the league in the last 11 games. I guess you got to give J.J. Redick a lot of credit.
JJ's done a great job.
Yeah, he really, at first it was fine. It was like, okay, but lately he has really done a great job, as you said. And so, finally, Nick, I'll say this. LeBron, we know he consistently puts up similar type numbers. But the way he's played over the last month or so, I think it's better for the most part than he's played the last few years. Like, he looks tremendous. And he looks clearly like one of the best 5 or 6, 7 players in the league. And if they're going to get this LeBron for the rest of the season in the playoffs, and that's a big if, because I wonder, could he get hurt? Can he sustain it? If they're going to get this LeBron, then they got a real chance because we know Luka's going to be great.
So let me start where you ended and then get to the Luka piece of it. So if we want to be as conservative as possible, I guess the opposite of that, as liberal as possible, the full list with all ties going against LeBron of guys who you could say are hands down better than him, you can't name more than 7 people right now, this moment. It's Giannis, Jokic, Luka, Shea, Tatum, Anthony Edwards. There was one more when I did this earlier, and now I'm doing it off the top of my head. I'll think of it at some point. But that's your list. That's it. And LeBron is playing better right now than any of the old guys, Kevin Durant or Steph Curry. Embiid's hurt. You know what I mean? He's been better this year than Jalen Brunson. He's been better this year than Donovan Mitchell. There's a point with most athletes where they start getting graded on a curve. LeBron's grading on a curve, oddly, this season, I feel like has worked against him, where people have just in their head been like, he's in year 22, he's 40, so therefore it's impossible that he be this good, and that's because historically nobody past year 20 has ever been any good at all. And so I don't know if it's
Anthony Davis was that the other guy?
No, there was one. I made this whole list and I forgot to write it down because I was like, you'll surely remember it. It's not Şengün. It was Wemby.
Okay.
It was Wemby because Wemby's probably been the best defensive player in the league. You said Şengün, I thought Wemby, so that's a credit to Şengün.
And early, to be fair, LeBron was playing very well early in the season.
No, it's the last month. Correct.
Right.
It's the last month, and so I think it's a little preview of playoff LeBron because here's what I attribute the last month to. I think once the Lakers, it's like, okay, this is the team. AD's playing great. Man, if I can show them, the front office, that I've still got it, maybe they will make a move at the deadline. Not thinking Luka. You know what I mean? No, make a move because I did think they were a piece away from real contention. So let me ramp it up. Then they make the Luka trade, and it's a totally different type of rejuvenation, which is, holy crap, we legitimately can win a championship. And so I think you have gotten a more engaged, you know what I mean, motivated, if you will, LeBron. And then you have the Luka piece of it, which is, it's not a pop quiz. Has there ever been a better, from an IQ and passing ability standpoint, duo in NBA history than these two guys? I think it's two of the three smartest players in the league, two of the three best passers in the league, right now on the same team. And so when you have that, and right now they are both, to your point, the one I fumbled it a bit, consensus top 10 players. Yeah, that team. Now, do I worry about them in a series against Jokic? Of course.
Yeah.
You worry about, but so that's why.
You're not stopping him even if you have a great big man.
But now here comes the Jackson Hayes part, where as kind of like a joke, Jackson Hayes came in one of these games, garbage time, and got he had some game where he got hot. And I was like, I like Jackson Hayes, a lot of energy. And you gave me a tongue lashing. You were like, he cannot play in the playoffs.
He can't be he can't be getting big playoff minutes.
But now he's starting and he's the guy. And then there was this article, Brew, I'll summarize it for you, in The Athletic about where they're going to find a big man since the Mark Williams trade. And it was the buyout market, ? Australia. I was like, what the heck? And I got down into the article, and the Australian backup center, his name is Will Magnay, is currently in Tanzania.
Oh, okay.
And there's a chance that he could be the guy for them. So I'm just a little bit worried if there's no, ball stoppers and no big defensive anchor back there, that this will limit their ceiling.
But I liked Jackson Hayes when they got him. I actually expected more from him. I wasn't expecting him to be a 30-minute-a-game starter, but he's athletic, he's long. I was like, oh, he can do some things. He's disappointed me. But again, and you saw it last night, I get it. It's the Jazz.
Yeah. Catching lobs,
I'm not going to make too many assumptions from it. But yeah, catching, anytime Luka goes into that paint or LeBron goes into that paint, the defense is coming and they can just throw you a little lob. So all he has to do, if I'm Jackson Hayes, I'm like, this is my moment.
That's right.
I just put my mindset on defending because I've got the length and the athleticism, and then finishing at the rim, and that's all they'll need.
Again,
to contend. I got those as the top 3 contenders.
2 points just quickly. One on Jackson Hayes. You and I, oddly, had the whole Jackson Hayes argument was the year they went to the conference finals in the regular season. Mm-hmm. So the reason I'm bringing that up is young players are allowed to improve. So I'm not as down on him in 2025 as I was in the regular season of 2023.
Okay.
But I still think that if there's a reason they overpaid for Mark Williams.
Yeah.
Gave, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Gave
that was a big
effectively
move.
2 first-round picks for a project, young, shouldn't say project, but a
He
very
can play,
young,
but just
unproven player.
Yeah, never healthy.
But if we show the Western Conference standings, Brew, there's 2 ways to look at this. One is, okay, the Lakers would take that draw right now.
Yeah.
Houston in round 1, opposite side of Denver, and then try to clip OKC, who Luke has had success with, and as you always say, is very young, in round 2. Another way to look at it is what they would really take is if they can pass Denver, who they have the same number of losses. And then all of a sudden, they're still on the opposite side of the bracket as Denver, and Denver and OKC have to play each other.
Yeah.
And so, in that, with no disrespect to Oklahoma City, in that series, if I'm the Lakers, I'm rooting for Oklahoma City. As great as they've been, as awesome as Shea has been, it's just that Jokic has, was this team's kryptonite when they had Anthony Davis. And so now maybe the Darvin Ham's plan of just deploying Rui on him. He can
we just saw a defense wins championships Super Bowl. So to dismiss the Grizzlies and Thunder, I feel like we're just.
I'm not dismissing the Thunder at all.
The Grizzlies are good. I think, like I said, I named my 3 top ones. The Grizzlies are there, but again, they're very young. Ja is playing really well, but they're still not. They're
and in the defense teams, I want to add one last point and see what you guys think of it. You look at the Nuggets, for instance, and you're like, why is Aaron Gordon so important for the Nuggets? Yes, he catches those nice lobs from Jokic, whatever. But it's because Aaron Gordon exists. So if the Nuggets are in a playoff series against the Lakers last year, he can guard LeBron. And if the Nuggets are in a playoff series against the Mavs, he can guard Luka. I don't know that there is a team that has, except for Boston actually, that has 2 guys. That it's like, okay, our guy who is big and strong and a great defender who can credibly guard LeBron, we actually need a second. That guy has to guard Luka, and our second option of that has to guard LeBron. Like
OKC's got some guys. They're not quite as big.
They're not as big. No, OKC's a great defensive team, but the only guy that's strong enough is Dort. Like the other guys, so that,
it's going to be.
You know what I mean? That's just a weird thing that the Lakers now have.
Well, and that's the thing. Look, obviously Denver's got size, but it's not like a ton of teams have size that's going to punish you inside. A lot of the big men shoot jump shots and 3-pointers, so it's not quite as important as it used to be. It's still important, but OKC with all their size. Chet is great, but he's slender. You know what I mean? He's not going to, bully anybody. So
5 blocks the other night.
No, he can block shots.
All right, let's get on to the Mavs because I want to hear your reaction to this wild quote. Luka's old team lost in overtime to the Kings at home. Vibes not good. Fans got ejected for calling for Mavs GM Nico Harrison to be fired. This on the heels of Mavs owner Patrick Dumont, or is it more French?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Justifying the Luka trade in an interview by saying this to Brad Townsend of the Dallas Morning News. If you look at the greats in the league, the people you and I grew up with, Jordan, Bird, Kobe, Shaq, they worked really hard every day with a singular focus to win. And if you don't have that, it doesn't work. You shouldn't be a part of the Dallas Mavericks. Okay, reaction.
Well, look, I mean, Shaq, we know.
That was an odd one.
Shaq, worked his way into shape during the first half of the season. That was one of the big things between him and Kobe. Is Kobe was like, dude, come to camp in shape. Bird liked to throw down a few beers here and there.
I promise you, Luka does not drink as much beer as Larry Bird. I will report that. So I understand it's a different era, but that's
definitely. I mean, guys used to drink beer in the locker room sometimes after games. So
on the ride home from games,
So my thing is this, and we last night it was tragedy for the Mavericks as far as the fans and everybody's fired Nico Harrison, the GM, and this is what happens. I'm sorry. I mean, we don't want it to get out of hand, and it hasn't gotten out of hand. It's just fans complaining. Fans love their team. Guess what the Dallas Mavericks want now? A Luka Dončić. another type. Like whatever they do, their goal in the future, and every team's goal, is to get a player of that caliber. You traded a 25-year-old in his prime who wasn't just putting up numbers. He had upset 4 teams in the playoffs.
Yes.
He beat Phoenix as the #1 seed 3 years ago to get to the conference finals. Then when they got to the finals last year, they were the underdogs in every series as far as seeding. And he gets you to the finals. So I'm sorry. Like, I don't feel sorry for the Mavs. You traded freaking Luka Dončić, the 3rd best player in the league or higher, as a 25-year-old.
Under the cover of night without him wanting it. And listen, I do care about the details of this quote. I really do. If somebody, let's just say, fake world, Mahomes hadn't won a Super Bowl through a few years, and the Chiefs traded him, and one of the Chiefs owners is like, listen, we all, as exciting as the team has been, we all know that the way to win Super Bowls is with standard throwing mechanics. And all the guys we watched, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Big Ben, be like, oh, wait, you're actually exactly wrong on that. One of those guys, Aaron Rodgers, played just this way and won a Super Bowl. I really care that he included Shaq in this because the argument has been Nico got sign-off from ownership. Well, if ownership has, they're owners, and they're new owners, and they have other businesses, got it. It's not their job to be NBA historians. It is Nico Harrison's. And if Nico Harrison thinks you can't win with a guy who it drinks a lot of beer like Larry Bird, who goes out at night like young Kobe, as great as we lionize Kobe, and it's also awkward because Kobe passed so tragically. The guy that Kobe was by the time Shaq left and all of it, young Kobe was not a perfect player. And it was always a killer competitor.
Jordan was hanging out.
Jordan
obviously worked hard.
And you don't make first team, let me rephrase it. There are 3 guys in NBA history who made first team All-NBA 5 times before they turned 26. Amazingly, Bron's not one of them. It is Tim Duncan, Kevin Durant, and Luka Dončić. So, think about it. Either, like KD and Duncan, he has an insane work ethic. You don't trade those players. Or he somehow has achieved at this level despite not yet having an insane work ethic. You don't trade that player either. Because the craziest part of this is, if they're right, he's actually even better than any of us think. If Luka really is as lazy and out to lunch as this trade says he is, well, then luckily for you, he's only 25 years old. And you have time to, to unlock a whole nother level. And it is also not lost on me, Wilds, that they said the window was 3 or 4 years. They said we did this to win now. And the guy they traded for didn't make it through the first game. And you guys know how much I love AD, but that's not a shocking injury since he was injured when you traded for him.
Later in the article, bro, he says, look, as far as I'm concerned, Luka is a Mav for life. And it was just an odd, it's just, you would think, there's a part of the article that comes off very caustic, and part of these quotes come off like a fan is. I have a deep appreciation for what he brought to this team. He's an electrifying player. It's like,
I think he was just saying so. You guys know I think Luka's the best player they've ever had in that franchise. Now I know it'll go down.
Did it mean anything to you?
I was just going to ask it. Yes.
Sorry, that should let you do
great question.
I think it was great. Dirk is supportive of him.
Oh, I thought it was a.
Dirk taking a shot at the Mavs. Yeah,
I think so. No, I
don't think it was accident. I think he knew what the ramifications were.
I also think that if Luka was as awful behind the scenes as the Mavs are trying to paint him into being, Dirk would not have done that. If Dirk knows that franchise as well as anyone, if it was true that Luka behind the scenes was just an aloof, lazy pain in the butt, Dirk might still support him, but he wouldn't, I think, go out of his way game one to publicly say, I'm a Mav for life, but I'm going to go support Luka. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.